So, I like to consider the Civilization series as a monarchy. Once a game gets old and outdated, there's always going to be a new one to step up and take its place. And if we're counting Civ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to be kings, then Civ Revolution, Beyond Earth, and Civ World would be considered the illegitimate heirs to the throne, or bastard games, if you will. But today we're here to talk about Civilization Revolution and why I think it deserves to stay as a bastard game. So let's start with diplomacy. I lied, there is no diplomacy. In this game, the AI are actual psychopaths who will threaten, lie, and manipulate you to no end. Every message you receive from them will read about the same.
You're ugly, you're disgusting, I'm gonna kill you, give me $200.
They are unreasonably aggressive, and it makes me have no empathy for them. Especially when they come up to me and demand I bribe them not to take my settlers, but as soon as I settle a city, they fucking pounce on it like a uwu to a bulge and ask, "What's this? Pfft, this isn't a settler, this is a city. Our contract clearly stated settler, so this city is mine now." Like, what the fuck is the point of a bribe if you're just gonna be a loan shark about it? Actually, no, not loan sharks, because sharks are actually interesting and act differently from each other. They're more like lone meerkats because they just mimic each other in behavior and gameplay. Seriously, like, it's basically is the battle royale of Civ games. The civilizations presented here are just, well, really bland for a game known for its variety of playstyles. It actually kind of reminds me of bread, but let's take India for example. Playing as India in Civ Revolution lets you build a lot of courthouses and settlers, while in Civ 6 your cities gain the ability to absorb the powers of any religion that tries to convert them until they have assembled the Infinity Religion, which sounds more interesting than gaining literacy for free. The majority of the Civ gimmicks are one Civ can build a ton of wonders, this Civ gets interest on their money, this Civ gets the better knights for some reason, and this one just gets a fucking free cathedral. Let's talk about combat now. Every time combat is initiated, one of the two armies engaging are going to die no matter what, and unless if you have a 2-to-1 power ratio on your opponent, which is conveniently the power ratio of barbarians and warriors. But if you don't have that 2-to-1 power ratio, it basically ends up being a coin flip of who wins, and you're forced to watch this 10 to 30 second cutscene of your troops pussyfooting around until someone has the courage to give the enemy a little whack. This makes combat feel very unrewarding and frustrating to deal with. And while it does make these cutscenes feel somewhat tense since you don't actually know who's going to win, it also ruins any feeling of satisfaction you were able to get from outthinking and out-strategizing your opponent. And if you lose, you just feel frustrated because you totally had the advantage, so you should have won. Because why have units with strengths, weaknesses, and counters where you could just merge high attack power with high defense power, and then go on to have a wonder that gives one civilization one nuke, period. But honestly, the game's still fun. It's just not a good Civ game, but as a standalone title, I think it fares pretty well, because it's still fun and functional and is generally a really good introduction to strategy games. And every time this little twat comes on screen to tell me that a settler just appeared outside of my city because I reached the 100 gold milestone, I can't help but go, oh fuck yeah. Because I feel like I just gained a real advantage over my opponents. And that feeling only grows stronger and stronger as I learn that the AI are my sworn enemy, making me do all my power to stomp them into the fucking dirt and ruthlessly gut their lifeless bodies and leave them for the rats to unrelentingly claw and eat away at their skin until they become an unrecognizable husk of a human being. And I think that's a testimony to how skilled and dedicated the Sid Meier developers are, because it still holds that touch of quality and depth that's classic to this game, and it hasn't lost it all just because it was released for consoles. It's just a heavily simplified version of it. Simplified for the worst, but you can still see the touch of quality, especially in the animation, and holy shit, Even after 12 years, its art style still holds up even better than Civ 5. I mean, just the way the advisors and leaders push each other out of the way with their exaggerated movements just looks freaking adorable. Plus, if you look at these dancing bears, you can tell they had a ton of extra money in the animation department because they serve no mechanical purpose, and you'll only be able to find them if you actively look for them. Also, I didn't know where to put this in the video, but this game also gave me my first experience with titties, since there's a graphical glitch with Cleopatra where her bra wouldn't show, leaving behind a blank skin texture that blew my fucking 12-year-old mind. However, that being said, there are bigger and better Civ games to play. If there weren't any, well, this would be a fucking great game, but there are, and the only thing keeping me from wanting to play this game again is the lack of a capture card that would allow me to steal the world records that this guy has been racking up over the years. Huge thanks to him, by the way, for letting me take his footage without asking. And because if it was my gameplay, you would see a lot more footage of Zero fighters getting their asses handed to them by legions of pikemen, which is a very common occurrence, and it was caught to me by surprise how I could not find any damn footage of that anywhere. This game is a really good introduction to grand strategy games since, well, to be honest, its faster pace is doing a job of making sure you don't get bored. And that's a problem when I have to try to introduce this game series to other people, including myself, and yeah, this was my first Civ game, so I'd say it's worth a good 30 points. Because the more I talked about this game, the more I realized that, goddamn, developing this game must have been a fucking nightmare. And it does its job. And at the end of the day, I guess that's all that matters. Oh, and if this game was considered a bastard, then Civ Rev 2 would be considered a failed fucking abort.